Okay, in my last video I was talking about the pamor of some keris, and my daughter saw the videos and she told me, well, Daddy, I don't see any pamor. Why don't you use a TikTok light? Well, I don't know what a TikTok light is, but this is a TikTok light. And now you should be able to see some keris. So with the TikTok light, I like to show you some really nice keris, some keris from my family, keris that are very special to me, and well, I hope you will enjoy this video. Let me first start with my most important keris, and that's the keris from my father. I got this keris from my father, and unfortunately my father passed away on a very young age, so I got the keris when I was very young. And in the beginning I didn't do a lot with it, you know, and it's only when I grew older that I saw the value of the keris, and at this moment this is the most important keris for me, you know. Let me show you this keris. It has a name, Kiai Senang Hati, where your heart feels at home. And it has a very, very, very nice pamor, you know. You can see that also on the gonjo. The pamor is there. It has, well, a wenkon. The wenkon is around the keris. It's to protect people with this keris. And I remember when I got this keris, and once it opened and it started moving in my hands, and I put it back in the sheet again, and that's the moment that I really actually do not touch this keris anymore. Sometimes I don't know if it's real or not real, but when I want to talk with my father, I use this keris. It could be my imagination, but for me it's reality, you know. For me it's really reality. Kiai Senang Hati. This keris is very important to me. Then we've got a family keris. It's called Kiai. Just a moment. Let me put it away. Kiai Slamet. Slamet. A lot of keris has the name Slamet, the protector. And this is typical from East Java, you know. The pendok from silver, the golden mendak has been bent a little bit, you know, but I don't want to. A lot of collectors tell me, okay, why don't you restore the mendak? But it's a family piece. I will do it with a mendak what is not for my family, but I don't have the guts to do it with a keris that comes from my family, you know. What if something happens with it? So I prefer to keep it just the way it is. Very nicely made. And as I told you, these are not collector's keris. These keris are really used. They are worn, and you can see it that they were being used. Well, about the name. Slamet really means protector, so it's a keris to protect my family. It's a very, very, very old keris, you know. It doesn't have a lot of pamor because it's old, and kerises like this are being washed, etc. And what you see is actually that pamor comes off a little bit. It has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 look. It's a high keris, you know, it's a very high keris. My grandfather, he was Wedono in East Java. His name is Raden Mas Secok di Rejo. That was his name. And he married a princess from Yogyakarta. My grandmother, Siti Sutari. Raden Ayu Siti Sutari, and their daughter Augustine Secok Derijo. was a princess born in Yogyakarta, but actually we are from East Java. We are Madurese people, orang Madura. So this is the family keris, you know. And this is a keris you don't really use. You keep it closed, you keep it in honor. And for me, this is a very important piece, you know. So let me show you a keris that is usually worn with a costume. This is a real costume keris, also East Java. The pendok is very nice. The pendok is made out of gold. And you've got gold that you cannot call gold because it has a lot of aluminium in it. And you've got gold with a higher percentage of gold, then you can call it really gold, but it doesn't rust. It stays clean, it stays beautiful. The mendak is also nice with inten. Inten is rough diamonds, you know, you can see the rough diamonds over here. And the ivory grip on it. Well, this is the keris that you usually wear on your costume. Oh yeah, about the pendok, they call it suasa. Suasa is has a lot of percentage of I think aluminium. It is aluminium. And let me show you the keris. You know. Very nice keris. And now you can see a little bit more of the pamor on it. You see. Again, we are no specialists. We want to keep the traditions alive in honor of our grandparents. But they told me this is Madura, the Madura Sepuh, the first Madura era. So it could be very old keris. A lot of people, orang Madura, live in East Java. And the government made a big movement between Javanese people and Madurese people. So at this moment I don't know if a lot of Madurese people still live in East Java, but in the time that when my family left Indonesia, a lot of orang Madura, they lived in East Java. So this beautiful keris. Don't forget, a keris like this, it's made spiritual, and I like to see that it has some kind of energy, but those keris are not made with an energy. But there are some old keris like Slamet. That's a loaded keris, you know. During the war we lost some pieces, and you know, my family always told me that they had a piek and a lans. Piek and a lans is actually a trisula and a tombak, and they are to guard the collection. This is Kiai Pelindung. Kiai Pelindung is a tombak coming from Yogyakarta. It's coming from the palace of Yogyakarta. I got it from a very good friend of mine. So it's not a family piece. But I want to keep it because I want to keep it as traditional as possible, you know, to keep the collection alive the way it was in the 30s and 40s from the last century. So we lost the tombak and the trisula, and I bought it later on just to make the collection complete. Kiai Pelindung. Very nice piece, you know, with gold over here, and the shaft over here also made out of gold. But it's not a family piece. I bought it later on. So let me show you another very old keris. This one, we call it a Rojo Gondolo. It has a human figure on the base, and it's very traditional, you know. If you look at ivory grip, you see this kind of grip much more often. But I can show you a grip that is very rare, but you see this one very often. A military piece, and it's an old one. It's an old one. I have it. These two, this one and my father's kris, are the ones I have the longest. Well, if you look at it, it is Segalo. It's coming from West Java, so it's very, very old, you know, very old. And it has nice contrasting pamor on it. It's also a very spiritual dapur, Sempana 9 curve, Sempana 9 curve. That's the name of the dapur, you know, very beautiful. With Yantung over there, a heart. There's a lot of symbols on the blade, very lot of symbols. Nice kris, nice kris. And Segalo, well, we like to believe that the kris has been founded in East Java in the time of Kenarok, but I think in West Java there were the first modern kris, you know, Segalo era. I've got another great Segalo kris. That's a female kris. Let me show you another very important kris, you know, it's this one. I've got a lot of kris dressed like this. This is actually when you wear it, that when you sit down or you jongkok, or you stand on your feet and on your knees, that you don't damage the point of the kris, you know. Very nice grip. Look at the grip, and again, mendak with inten, with the diamonds on it, the rough diamonds. See, and you see the swastika symbol on it with the dragon. And if you got a dragon, you also got the crown and the horse on it. It's a nice kris, you know, but you will see that the pamor on this kris is not that contrasting. And at this moment, the trend is to make the washing with a lot of black and white, but I don't like it. If the Empu wanted me to make a contrasting kris, then he used other metal. This is holy metal. And what you see a lot is with kris like this. Well, let me take out, with all due respect, the Segalo kris, then you can see the difference between the color of the pamor. You see, this is meant to be black and white, this one not. And if it's not coming after one washing, I keep it like that, because it means that he used holy metal instead of contrasting metal, like this. Now you can see the difference. And those kris, what some people call, well, pamor is not that nice, but these are the holy kris, I can tell you. These are the holy kris, and it already took my blood. Quite bizarre. Because if you talk about energy, the prana, if you talk about the energy of life, in the offerings, and you see it in Bali, when a festivity is over there, the streets are full of blood, because in blood you've got the most mana, you've got the most energy, you've got the most offering energy. It's the highest form of energy to give to a kris. And that's why we say that kris like this, they like to absorb the blood, you know. Now I have to put it back. Excuse me that I kept you in my left hand, but I just wanted to show the example. Now let me show you, my father is born in Yogyakarta, because his family lived over there. My mother is born in Bandung. And this is quite interesting, because it's a kris from Uncle Herman. And it's a small kris, very small kris. It has 15 curves, 15 loops. And well, it's a kris from my mother's family, so that's nice to show you. You see, it's a quite small blade, and if I take it over here, you can see the pamor on it. You see the trunk attached to the villa. It's completely attached to it. It's very nicely made, you know. Also old kris, very old kris. And this one has the odd number of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 15 loop, you see. Coming from my mother's family. Different style. Small kris. So yesterday I didn't show you, I tried to show you kris tajuan, a holy kris. This one over here. And it's like the Holy Grail, you know. Everybody knows the story about the Holy Grail. You've got the grail with gold and diamonds, and the most holy grail is a simple wooden grail, and this is the same actually. The beauty of this kris is inside. And I wanted to show you this kris because of the pamor, the blocked water pamor. And if I show it to you like this, now you can see the blocked water pamor, you see the stripes on the blade. I already told you this is very old modern kris, you know. In the beginning of the creation of the modern kris, you know, they attach the pessi after forging the villa, the blade. So you can see that here they put the pessi inside of the villa. Well, they told me that this should be Majapahit, you know, beginning of Majapahit. The other kris is end of Majapahit. This is beginning of Majapahit, you know. And those blades, they are not completely black, but a little bit more gray, you know. And this is a really holy kris. Oh, I love this kris. And if you want something to happen in your life, have a little bit more luck. Don't expect miracles, you know. Sometimes they do happen. Sometimes you ask yourself, okay, this is a great coincidence, but it helps you in life. It helps you fixate in your work, but you have to do it yourself. You have to take the initiative with whatever you do. You have to take the initiative to make things happen, but the kris helps you with it. Another example, and this kris is actually always closed. I normally never take it out of the box, but I wanted to show you this kris at this moment. Again, very simple kris if you look at it like this. Very simple kris, you know. But inside of it, I keep it locked up in a box on the highest place in my house. Normally I only take it out on Tumpek Landep, and then you wash it, oil it, and give it offerings. And for the rest, I put it back in the box again and store it on a high place. It has tambal, the tumpal, the triangular on the base here, is actually, tumpal is actually tambal. Tambal is when you've got a very, very old and holy kris, and you can use parts of the kris and then forge it into a newer kris. This kris is already quite old, you know. And the pamor is stunning, you know. You see the lines of Ardek here, and then ending in, like, you know, smoke from incense, as if the tumpal, the triangular, from Mount Semeru, Mount Meru or Mount Semeru, the holy mountain. On top of the holy mountain, that's the place where all the spirits are, the spirits, the gods, my ancestors and then you've got the lines of the adek, and going into, it looks like it's smoky, you know, as if you're making a connection with the spiritual world. If you read the pamor like this, you know, you can see that what it's doing, the keris. It makes a connection. Here it's almost blur on the top, you see. And of course, when people come, I show them the beautiful keris with gold and ivory and diamonds, etc. You do not show this keris. It's for myself. It's, if I want to make a connection, it's, you can compare it with praying. Some people go to the church and they want to talk with their parents, and they burn a light, a candle, and they try to get in contact. You know, I'm born here in the West. I don't know if it's real or imagination, but it doesn't matter for me. I don't question questions like that. I just use this keris if I want to get in connection. I want to talk with my grandparents or my father. And what's wrong with it? You know, I don't hurt anybody. It's just what I do. It's just what a lot of people in Holland do with the keris, you know, the keris pusaka. And that's actually, this is a really keris with a heavy energy. Okay, I showed you a lot of things, you know. I can show you more, but I don't know if it's that important. Oh yeah, maybe this is nice. In this case, I only have a blade. It was inside of a box. And I don't know if I dress it. Maybe I do, maybe I don't. But it's an old piece, you know. You can see the pamor, not as clear as the new keris. It's a small blade, very small blade. Also things like this, you sometimes find in boxes. A lot of people immediately started dressing in with a new dress. I keep it like this. I don't know why. Maybe I'll do something else with it and change the dress. Oh, well, this is probably nice to see. There is one keris I want to show you. There is a very nice grip. And it's also very important keris. This is also a holy keris with an energy, you know. Look at this. I hope you like it. I don't know who it is. I asked around also by collectors, specialists, if somebody knows who the person is on the keris. Normally, if you see Madurese keris like this, it represents the tree of life. So that goes back to the tradition of reincarnation. He has a very friendly face, you know. An old golden menda and silver salute. I like the wood very much, you know. It's the old original sheet out of it. And let me show you the keris. Maybe you like to see the pamor on this blade too, you know. Look at it. You can see in the color that the Empu didn't use contrasting metal, but holy metal, so you don't see the black and white. If you want, you can do it, but don't forget washing a keris, damage a keris, and every time if you wash a keris, it damage. The pamor we call bendoso godon, you know, the circles. It's for money and good health. Okay, well, with help of the TikTok light, I could show you much better movie of my keris. And I showed you some of the most important, well, every keris for my family is important. That's wrong, but some keris, some keris are a little bit more my favorite. I think that's the best expression. Okay, thank you for watching.